The Belvedere Community Association Rain Barrel Drive was made possible by a grant from the Chesapeake Bay Trust. Thank you. Today we'll be showing you how to install a rain barrel.
The gutter adapter is going to go into the top of the barrel. That's where the water will collect. There's an overflow hose, and you'll want to run it several feet away from your foundation so that you don't get water back. And then there's the actual tap valve you can hook a hose to at the bottom to drain out whatever water you want, or you can hook it to a permanent soaker hose. If you hook it to a permanent soaker hose, we did that once on one, but we took the soaker hose that you buy that has really, really little ports, and I took my drill and took like a 3/16 hole and drilled it in, because you don't have pressure from this like you do from the hose, so you want to open it up. But that works fine to allow it to go to a adjacent flower bed. It's just, get the rigid little plastic, soaker hose that open the pores up to, since this is just gravity fed.
Right. So it's not going to have enough pressure to use a hose nozzle. It's just going to drain.
If you open the hose nozzle, it's going to drip out like it does when you turn the valve off, and it just drains the rest of the hose. It'll just be very, very slow.
But you could open that and have it drain into like a bucket.
Yes.
Take it somewhere. Okay.
Going into a bucket, it'll be kind of like opening, you're putting your glass under the refrigerator and stuff. Okay. It's a pretty large port, but it's just gravity, so it's going to be slow.
Okay.
If it's going downhill, it'll be fine, but it doesn't have any pressure. If you had a hose and you lift it up. Here, since the barrel is coming to the side of the gutter, we'll actually want to rotate the barrel so that you're bending it in just one direction would be better.
Okay.
If you're in front of the gutter, the normal one will bend forward and get in fine. So
this is the one that comes with the rain
you can
barrel.
take these and expand them. This one may be a little short, but I want to see what it'll
Like
reach.
I said, I have an extra one.
Yeah.
If we
Get this one out. Because in this application, we're going to want to go something in, you want to keep it with a good slope down. So this one would only really kind of get to about here. These do have a narrow end that will go into the rain barrel, and a wider end that will slip over your gutter. You want to slip over and through. They're so close together, it's hard to look at. But if you measure them, or if I cheat and use two different ones, I can tell that they actually do. You can buy, and they're easy to find on Amazon, you can buy a diverter that is a section that bolts into the middle of the gutter. You cut a section out and attach it both above and below. What they allow you to do is bring water into the barrel and bring the overflow back into your gutter system. So if you have an existing run out for your gutter system that runs out into the yard or runs under the yard stuff, you can still tie back into that. Some of them, like the one that we have on ours, actually, I don't have a picture of it unfortunately, but if you look at it, you'll see them, they have an outer body, and they'll also have an inner section. At low rain, the water clings to the wall of the inside of the gutter, so at low rain it will go around the outside and get diverted to the rain barrel. And really heavy rains, where it's completely filling the gutter flow, that other open core allows that to directly go through, so it doesn't try and backsplash out of the adapter. This adapter would not work for this gutter anyway, because this is a 4x6 gutter, and this is a 3x3, 2x3 adapter, so you'll want to make sure that you get the right size adapter to fit your gutter. And the overflow is over here, right? It's going to be over to this side, so what you'll do is, without the thing turning so
Take the cap off.
Loose, take the cap off and put a hose. You can run the hose back into your gutter if you have the style that goes back, or if you don't, you'll want to run that hose 3 feet-ish or so off of the foundation of the house.
Right.
And this is just a standard garden hose, so you can get a section of hose. If you're going back into the fancier adapters and stuff, you simply take an old hose you have and cut it, or buy a really short one.
And this is the diverter that, or the spout that comes with it. If that's not going to fit my gutter, so we need, like, this is what comes with it. So people might need to get a larger.
Yeah, gutters come in, the downspouts come in basically 2 sizes.
Okay.
So this is the bottom of the barrel, and this will be sitting on the bottom. So this is what was used originally to fill them. You can tell there's the spout part here. So this will be sitting on the bottom. So you can clean them manually. I suppose you could take it and get in it from that way, or you could take the screen off and get something in there, you know, a brush, swish around. What I do to prevent mosquitoes is I put like a quarter cup of olive oil or some sort of food-based, just in the spring I pour it in it, and what that does is it creates a film on it so mosquitoes won't grow in there. They won't live in the oil. So all you need is just, you know, a quarter cup or something.
You may need to, at some point, take these when they're empty. You can flip it off, turn it upside down, unplug it, take a pressure washer, clean the inside of it, and turn it backside out, because you will get some moss and stuff growing to the bottom.
Take the top off, right?
No.
Correct.
It's just a plug.
Yeah.
It's just this.
Okay.
Just these plugs.
But you can take that bung out.
These are recycled food containers, I believe is where they get them.
So.
Well, you want some type of a base to prevent the barrel from sinking into the ground, and also they're nice to have something that'll raise it up a bit so your outlet isn't right at ground level, so you can get a bucket behind it, below it, or whatever, however you're going to use the water. Ours is a custom made. It was made out of 6x6 wood cross bracing. They just took 6x6s and cut them, stacked them there, and then put a 2x6 in the other direction on top of it to tie it all together. That worked fine. This one is cement blocks
with pavers.
They've got a paver underneath it so that it doesn't, so the blocks don't sink in, because they've got the, cement blocks have the narrow edge, which is what's made to support the load. You want to have them with the openings pointing up, because cement blocks are meant to load through the narrow walls, not between the 2 sides. And
you want to have a flush surface.
Well, and a flush surface to support it well and to keep it from sinking into the ground and help you give you the ability to level it out a little bit.
And if you want more water pressure, you can build your platform up higher. But you have to be careful, because when these things are filled with water, they're 500-ish pounds.
Yeah, if you get high,
400-ish pounds, so they're not light.
Engineering to make sure it's a good, strong,
level, solid,
supported structure. And the higher you go, the more you want to obviously widen the base a little bit too.
Yeah, you don't want to fall over.
Yeah. Some people also hook 2 rain barrels up in tandem. They'll have a high one and then one 6-8 inches lower, and they'll have the overflow from one going into the other, and that way they're both elevated a little bit, so you can get the water out, and then you can decide to get it out of the high one or the low one, and you can deal with water management however you need to. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, like I said, the overflow from ours goes into a rain garden, so we're still putting it where it's got time to soak and get it away from the house. It runs 10 feet away and goes into the whole one side of our house. Is a rain garden.
Slow it down, spread it out, and soak.
But again, you were talking about the size of it. In really heavy rains, ours will top off. If the bypass will open, all of that will run into our rain garden, which has a center feed, and it's got 2 levels of rain garden. Totally, their total area is probably 20 by 30 feet, and that will overflow and go out finally at the end of it, after it's filled up all the area in the rain gardens to soak that it can. We'll still occasionally get some that flows through the overflow that I've got on the one edge of it. I've got a copper spout to allow it to drain. So in the really heavy rains, you can get a tremendous amount of water off the roof of a house.
Sounds like you live on a hill.
Yeah, we do.
We do. This long one for this application, because the orientation of this outlet is going to determine how you fit this in. It'll only
This kind of outlet here.
only go in one way. It won't go the other way. So in this case, I need to take the diverter and go laterally in the wider direction to the gutter. If you can, in your arrangement, it's probably easier to make it go so that it bends in the short direction and comes back. So in this one, I'm going to do this carefully. This is an old one. don't want to crack it too badly. This one's a little harder to open because it's older. A newer one is not going to take quite as much effort to extend. You can probably just grab the end and pull on it. But this one I'm trying to be a little more careful with.
Yeah, sorry, I just found that in my yard thinking, hey, that might work. So
It did.
this is it.
Now over far enough that I can get to the gutter. So what you want to do is somebody get a Sharpie,
Got it.
and I want as much of this to overlap the gutter as it can. So we're going to mark the Sharpie and cut the gutter right about here, so it'll just slip into it. I want to have enough angle so it'll run down, and I want to capture all of this length. So I'm going to go
You want to make sure the water's going downhill. It's not a horizontal.
go right there.
Exactly.
The hacksaw.
Then
The hard
then
part
metal.
about the metal gutters
It bends.
is you have to cut from all four sides because it only can cut on the long length.
Yeah.
When it gets to in the middle of it, it's going to just want to flex
So
the
you
gutter.
have to cut, like, make 4 cuts,
Right.
and then, okay. You go on the other side.
I could probably get that. Hold on.
As long as your hands are out of the way.
Where are you going with it? I got it. Go ahead.
Get it,
Yep. You got her.
get it started here.
Okay, so they're cutting.
What you gonna
No problem.
get a groove?
It'll be a lot easier than this hacksaw.
There you go.
I'm going to hold it with you just your right arm because I'm going to throw the saw back.
Gotcha. Almost there, man. So close.
So watch his arm when you break through.
If it were wood, I have a Japanese pole saw, which works really nice for and stuff.
Right,
Like
exactly.
push blade. And actually, I'm going to convert this to a pole saw, which is a trick you can do with the
Oh, just so it
hacksaw. Is
it
turn the
cuts on
blade so that
pull
it's
instead
cutting
of
when
the
you
push.
pull instead of
Yeah,
on
instead
the
of
push.
on the
It's going to
push.
be a little easier for this particular.
Almost there, though.
Yeah, so close.
Works much better as a pole saw. I want to use self-drilling hex head screws to attach the diverter to the gutter so it stays in place. These are commonly found for HVAC systems for the
Ductwork.
ductwork and stuff. We'll drill and then the screw.
So they got that little slot thing up at the tip of them.
Yeah. And I've got a drill bit that's just exactly the size for that. You can get those, or you can get ones that take just any socket. But you will need a drill, electric drill. You can't turn fast enough by hand to get them to drill through.
Now, I've seen it installed without screws as well.
I have, well, in the case of the one that we use and stuff, if I don't have it screwed in, nothing will hold it. And the same thing with this one. It's not going to stay if I don't put a screw in there to fasten it in. So, and since it's easier to get me up here when it's
Without the rain barrel in place.
and And if you'll play Vanna as my assistant and hold
Yep,
that there.
got you. Yep.
On this duct, if you get over to this side, Julie,
Yeah.
you can see there's actually a pilot
There's a little hole, yeah.
For the screw.
Yeah, true, yeah.
Oh,
Each side.
okay. I see it.
on each
So
side.
it's like set up already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to drill the one from this side, and then you'll drill the other one. So I'll set that up and. Okay.
Not on these, I don't see a little hole.
Yeah, those I don't think are made to have it slip over the gutter as nicely as this one is.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So that's not going anywhere.
See, now that's good and secured
Yeah,
to
good.
the gutter. So I'm gonna put the barrel back up here. Since I spilled a lot of stuff from the downspout into the stream, I'm going to also.
Yeah, that
you-
that came off. I don't know if it was screwed on or not.
Yeah.
Oh, those things, I think they're just
Oh.
They're
press
just
fit.
popped in there. It's just, you know, not when I was pumping.
This fitting part is what's installed to the barrel, and if you hold the tab, you can thread this in so that it will actually stay there. You can put Teflon tape on it if you want, but for a plastic fitting you generally don't need to, so now I can get it so it's not going to fall off.
Yeah, I think it just with us painting it, it kind of got loose.
Let's see. That's on. So off goes that way. A little paint on it,
Yeah.
holding it and stuff. But once you exercise it a little bit, it'll open nicely for you. I'm going to pull this, again, I'm going to hold this tab because I don't want this to rotate. Pull the thing off and I'll let you get a barrel for it. But this way, if it does rain, it won't splash out on the top of it. It'll still run over.
Okay,
But
so leave it off.
yeah,
So
but
you
you
get
do
a
want to
little-
put a hose on there.
Yeah.
To make sure you're not running it off the edge of the thing, you gotta
Right.
bring it over that way a bit, Greg.
Which way?
Towards the fence. There you go. Now it's centered.
Edging it a little bit.
Yep.
So now we've got a pretty reasonable slope for the water once the gutter attachment gets reinstalled.
You have to reattach it to the house.
Right against the wall, yeah.
If you got, try and bend it a little more so it doesn't want to
Pull out.
pop out.
You could probably get a little L bracket
There.
and just.
So I've got
Yeah.
enough tension in it now that it stays pretty well. You can also get some silicone,
Yeah.
and don't silicone it in so you can't get it out because you'll want to at some time, but just put a glob.
Like a bead of it on there.
Well, not a bead, just take, like in one side of it and just put a big glob in, something that you can, later then cut through with a razor blade and take it back out, and then you can scrape it off of the thing. It's real easy to cut silicone with a razor blade, so if you just put a glob in, just enough, like to be, like my thumb would be, just enough that it's kind of holding that. It'll help keep it in there.
Could you get an L bracket too and put an L bracket from
You could
here
get
into
fancy
there?
and get a little L bracket and screw
Yeah.
it into there and into here, but this doesn't have much bite for the screw. The gutter has a lot more bite for the screw than the diverter does.
So then what I'll do is, first couple of rains, I'll just come out and make sure that this isn't, being moved by the force of
Yeah.
rain
Water,
and
yeah.
such. But